Wyclef Jean, BKS1 Radio. Let's go.
This is Essence Atkins, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
Yo, check it out. What's the deal? This the chef. Giving a big shout out to my peoples. Big KS, you already know what it is. Salute.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and I'm hanging with BKS1 Radio.
Hi, I'm Iyanla Van Zandt, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
BKS Radio, baby.
Hey, this is Jasmine Guy for BKS1 Radio.
What's going on? This is Lamont Rooker, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Shout out to BKS1, the best kept damn secret in the business.
Hey, what's up? This is Raven Goodwin from BET's Being Mary Jane, and shout out to BKS1.
Hi, this is Leon, and you're watching BKS1 Radio.
BKS1. God bless y'all.
Hello, and welcome to BKS1 Radio, the Our Show. It is your girl, Miss Latoya Chanel. And of course, I'm sitting here with my bestie, Miss Queen B. We are in the building. We are finding the energy, but we here tonight. You know what I mean? At least for the next hour. Yes. We found it for the next 60 minutes. In the meantime, thank you to everybody that is tuning in tonight and is joining tonight. Tonight is our finale of our... Actually, it's the finale of the whole thing. Oh, my God. So listen, this is the finale of the whole thing. If you haven't been watching, we have had a series about Black love and just all of the questions. This is part 2 of our series. We actually started this last year. And we started off talking to the guys about Black love and just answering questions for the fellas as to what are some of the things that women are doing and, you know, asking the fellas questions about some of the things that they do, their wants and their needs, and just trying to figure out how to bridge the gap and how to heal the divide between us, because there seems to be this ongoing division in Black love in our culture, right? And so we started with the fellas. We did 3 weeks with the fellas. Now we're doing 3 weeks with the ladies. And unfortunately, tonight will be our final show talking about this in part 2. But you can be a part of the grand finale, because the grand finale, everybody, is going to be on June 7th. That is our live event. So you can, everybody that has something to say in the comments, first of all, thank you to everyone that has something to say in the comments. But everybody that has had something to say in the comments, you can come out and you can be a part of our live event. It's going to be June 7th at Smokehouse Lounge. Yes. That is in New Brunswick. And listen, we need y'all there. We need y'all there. We need y'all in the building. We like to have an intimate environment. Just to let you know, things do sell out very, very quickly because we do not have a lot of people. We want a small environment. Right. And it's a grown folks conversation, right? It is. And it's a grown folks setting. We have food. We have the drinks. We have the whole shebang. And you come out and you can have your voice heard and your opinion heard. Two-step. On this topic. Yeah, it is two-step. And guess what else? This particular time is my birthday. So, listen, be in the building, you know, after we are done talking, you know what I mean? We are going to go ahead and celebrate, or at least I'm going to celebrate, because you know what? It has been a hell of a year. Can we talk about that? Can we go into how all hell broke loose on my birthday last year? You know what? I'm not going into that. That's a whole nother show. I do have a therapist here, and we'll talk about that with her afterwards, because I can't even go into it. But you know what? We are renewing and all the things this year, and we'll get into that another time. But Queen B, how are you? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that it? That's all you got right now?
You know, first of all, let's just say nursing, healthcare is just not for the weak.
No, it's not.
It is not for the weak. It is trying, right? Mm-hmm. And hence the reason why I have so many. I go to spas. Yep. I get massages. Yep. I have a therapist of my own.
You have to.
Just all of that good stuff. Because let me tell you, and y'all know who I am spiritually. Yeah. So my soul sometimes is really, really heavy, more heavy than the normal person. Yep. So I've had some crazy things happen within healthcare, you know, with my patients. So, you know.
Yeah. So you're feeling it. You're wearing it.
Oh, right yeah. I'm wearing it today.
Yeah.
I'm wearing it today.
Okay. Well, hopefully through this discussion, we can help you take it off so that by the time you go to bed, you're not taking it to bed with you, right?
Absolutely. No, I never do.
Okay.
I never do.
All
I always
right.
pray before I go to bed and I take it off. And that's just a warm bath
Yeah, but there's something also very important that you just said. You talked about taking care of yourself, right? You talked about self-care a little bit and how important that is for us as women, and and because we're talking and speaking from a woman's perspective, all of that is extremely important to take care of yourself no matter what. I feel like in yesteryear, especially as Black women, it was just go, 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 go,
Yes.
do, be,
And we wore it like a badge of honor.
Yeah, right.
I
Running
always
yourself
say that.
into the
I
ground.
always say that. I'd be
Yeah.
like, I remember. Funny is I'm in a mom's group, and I remember one time, somebody said that they needed a break from like their kids, and she got reamed out, like, oh, you need a break from your kids. These are your kids, and it's like, what? Like, no, you need a break.
You're still a human.
And you're still a human being, and you still need some, semblance of
yourself,
right? Because you are a mother, right? But that's separate from being the individual.
Yeah.
But you're a mother.
Yeah.
And she got reamed out for that, and I just now don't get me wrong. Some women were like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, we need, you need to." You need to always. I always say this. I do some. I go away, right? From my family. I go away. I do. I shut myself into a hotel room. I go away, and I tell everybody, where I am, what I'm doing. So look, something happened to me. Somebody knock on my door that I don't know. Y'all know where I am.
Yeah.
But I need those moments for myself, and I didn't. I think I learned that when my oldest two were younger. I, just the parenting and the going to work and the whatever and doing and being a daughter and being a wife at the time and being whatever. I just was like, yeah, no. And I started doing that. I started taking time for me. Like, and it was that moment. I remember my first time doing it. I literally ordered Chinese food. I had a good book, and I'll never forget. I remember the room number was like 324. And I was like, I walked in, I prayed, and I said, 324, I don't know what we're going to do in here, but we going to do something.
Yeah.
And I just prayed, and I just, and when I came out, when I left, I literally turned around. I said, thank you, 324, for what you did.
Yeah.
And I walked out of there
You felt lighter.
feeling less, right.
You felt lighter.
Less heavy than I walked in.
Yeah.
And then I was able to just love on them a little bit harder and love on everybody and just, right?
Yeah.
And keep going until I got to do it again.
Yeah.
And that was,
Yeah, it's important. That self-care is important, and we need that. In everything. You got to make sure you're taking care of yourself. You got to make sure you're looking out of yourself.
Yeah,
you can't pour from an
like
empty
back in the
cup.
day, they all tired. They wake up at 5 a.m. I ain't the 5 a.m. person no more. I know, right?
We'll
Ain't that
see.
crazy?
We'll see.
I used to be like,
We'll
up,
see, 'cause
like praying with
because
the-
when we
oh my God, I used to be up like they would be like, you sleep? No, it's 5. Like
every time
now
we
I
all
be-
go on vacations, she is. Well, first of all, no. Vacation clock is supposed to be different. Okay, I will sleep till 11 on a vacation. This one, was she in the room? Cause she been up since 5. At 11, I'm like, we going down to breakfast. We missed breakfast. Oh, okay. She been up since 5. We'll see, because we got a vacation coming up. We got one
by the
coming.
time she gets up, and I don't bother her, but by the time she gets up, I done been on the patio. I done watched the sunrise.
She done did
I done
all
read a
that.
book. I done read my Bible. I done came, and I'm just waiting for. Look, and then she gives me one semblance of her moving, like, and I'm like, is it time?
No.
Is it time?
No.
Nope, it ain't time.
No,
It ain't
it's
time.
not. Because I'm not getting up till 11. Like, I'm just not. I'm not getting
Or
up to
you'll
bed.
get up and be like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Eyes half closed. I'm not up yet.
I'm not up
Like,
yet. I'm not up. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I'm not a good person in the morning. I'm not a good human being. I know.
Why, y'all be out? Out.
Well, we'll see. We'll look. We'll see. She talking about she ain't that
I'm
person
better
no
now.
more.
I'm not.
We got 3 more days.
Y'all
till
gonna
we
have to
go on
wait. Y'all gonna
vacation?
have to wake me up.
We go on vacation in 3 days. Well, let's see. Let's see. But I already know. The thing is I'm going on vacation with a bunch of early birds, except for one. Me and Mimi gonna be asleep till about 11. Me and Mimi gonna be asleep till about 11. But the rest of y'all, because Tasha got FOMO. She got FOMO. She got fear of missing out. So she might be up at like 4:30. Like, well, what is everybody doing? You know what I mean? So
What?
she might be up. Tasha calls me at 6:30 every morning. Be like, what you doing? You know, I don't even know where I am at that point. She done got up. She done went to Dunkin' Donuts. She got coffee. She done drove.
That used to be me.
She done got fully dressed. Fully dressed to work from home. Went, got her coffee, drove around town. It was like, did you see? I ain't see nothing. It's 6:30 in the morning.
I saw my
I ain't see nothing. So
Are you
she gonna be
serious?
up before you. And Shantae is an early bird too.
I'm not
so.
like that no more. Like I used to be so good. By the time everybody get up, by the time I would be going to work, because I like early working hours.
No,
like I like
absolutely
early working
not.
hours. I like to get in,
absolutely not,
and get out.
I get to
right?
work at 10:30.
So if you tell me, oh, we love that you come in at 6:30, I'm like, good, we got this. Because now
then
I know
I go
I'm
eat
home
lunch.
2:30, 3 o'clock, I'm out. And I done done, the sun's still out. I done done my work.
No,
you know,
no.
even if I take a nap, I could get up.
I
You know
get to work at 10:30.
Yeah, no.
And I kind of mosey in there and be like, what y'all doing? You know what I mean? Like, y'all good?
No. To a point, no. Yeah, it's so bad. Can I just tell y'all, it's so bad that she calls us at 9:30 talking about, yeah, on my way to work. I said, them people gonna fire you. I'm just getting in the car. Bro, you were supposed to be at work.
They be in meetings at work and everything. And I'm like,
I done had 3 meetings.
I'm like, is it a lot of traffic out here?
I done had 3 meetings. She
y'all
calling me.
good?
I'm in a meeting, Toya.
Yeah, well,
I'm in my morning meeting.
Listen, I'm not that person. But you know what? I'm gonna try. On this particular trip, I am gonna try to get up slightly earlier than normal. Mimi, you hear this? Because I know Mimi and I will sleep to about 2.
Gonna happen.
But Mimi, you hear
You
this?
know how they say
I'ma
breakfast
try.
start from 6
to 10.
to 10?
It ends at 10.
She'll wake up at 11 talking about, y'all ate breakfast already?
Listen, I'm gonna
Did
try.
anybody bring me in?
I said I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try this week. When we come back, we'll let everybody know because I'm gonna try this time.
not
Maybe
happening.
I might. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, listen. The purpose of us being here, right, is we are talking about this segment of bridging it. Oh, Mimi said no. Mimi, we gotta try for at least like.
Lisa said I'm sleeping late.
9:30. Mimi said no. Mimi, can we try for at least like 9:30?
Go around the room. See, these are women. This is a good question.
Listen,
what kind of
we
Dr.
got-
Garcelle, what kind of vacationer are you? I can be an early bird. You can be an early bird. Okay.
I'm out there on that balcony too. I
Okay.
want to take it all in.
Right. Okay. How about you, Tiff?
Early bird.
Early bird. See? You?
I'm early. Only on vacation.
Is it 6?
Cause at home, I'm Toya. I'm late every day. I log in at home late.
You know what? That be her. Why? Are you serious? Logging at home late. They probably be like,
Oh, I will say that. I'll be like, oh, it's traffic. Now, mind you, it's right next to. It's from this door to that door.
Traffic.
It's a lot of traffic.
The dog got in the way. The
Bunch of
cat.
stuff in the hallway.
they probably every morning they probably like, we'll just wait for Toya to log in.
No, because
We'll just wait.
sometimes it's
Look,
my
they
meetings.
probably be
I'm
like-
there.
They probably be like,
I'm there. Now, this is the thing. I might have a nightgown on with a blazer over it, but I am there.
No, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad
I'm mad at that.
I am there.
my
I'm
bottoms
there.
used to look like nothing, like just
Yeah,
pajama bottoms.
booty shorts.
Lucky if I had bottoms on, but I got them on. I
that
got
too.
something on,
That
right?
too.
Shawl on my chair. I have a shawl on my chair. So when it's a meeting and I forgot to get dressed,
I will be in my pajamas, eat, sleep, repeat.
Mm-mm.
And I will be on video, and they already know what it is. It is what it is.
Booty shorts, night shirt, and a blazer. And as long as I, slick my hair back, I'm just, yes, I ain't brush my teeth. I ain't do nothing. I'm just sitting there talking to them.
Yes.
It'll be all right, though. Listen, I'm not a morning person, y'all.
Yo.
Mimi said we could try for 9:30. So, see, we're going to make breakfast.
But
See that?
9:30 is late because breakfast
No,
is
it's
over
not.
at 10.
She
No,
didn't even
it's
say
not.
9:30. She said 9:50. By the time I get downstairs this morning, she said 9:50. Right there. And
Oh, my bad. My eyes. Okay.
9:50. And by the time they get downstairs, nothing gonna be there. No hash browns.
I'm not eating hash browns right
no
now.
nothing. That's crazy.
I'm trying to
Anyway.
lose weight.
Hash browns right now.
Hello, I'm not eating hash browns right now.
But you gotta know what's funny is that whenever you get hooked up with the person that you're with, you really gotta know who you traveling with.
I'm glad
right?
you're using that as a segue.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
That's my segue. You gotta know who you're traveling with, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think I watched it before. Like, I'll never forget TD Jakes had this thing where he was talking about him and his wife, and he was saying that his wife's idea of vacation, because she is always with the children,
Is rest.
Is rest.
Yeah.
I
saw
don't want to
that.
wake
I saw
up.
that.
Yes, I'm going to
Yeah.
see the sun. Yes, I'm going to see. His is, I got an itinerary. I need to
Yeah.
see all that I can
No.
see or whatever. And he
No.
said sometimes they used to clash
Yeah.
because he wants her in his world, and
she's trying to relax.
and she trying to relax because she
Yeah.
done did whatever. So you definitely need to
Mimi
know.
said Uber Eats.
You know what?
So like y'all three could go downstairs, and then me and Mimi will just get something a little later.
When I was in
So-
Dubai, I paid for the hotel that had the breakfast in it because, see, what I'm not going to do is, first of all, I'm not searching for food. That's one. But
You don't
secondly,
gotta search for
if
on
I pay,
Ocean Drive. There's food and drinks everywhere.
if I pay for the breakfast, then I'm going to want to go to the breakfast. You understand?
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all
I'm not
can
going.
eat
I'm not.
enough.
You're not going to get me to pay for breakfast, and you about to take that from
But
me
here's the
every
thing.
morning.
But here's the thing.
Not
though.
happening.
But here's the thing. I don't eat breakfast early. That's the
Right.
thing, right? But actually, if I eat or drink anything too early, it makes me feel sick. It makes me feel nauseous. So now, just later in my life, I don't eat till 1 or 2 o'clock. My first meal. I don't break my fast till 1 or 2 o'clock. Prior to recently, it might have been like what, 11ish. 11ish.
Yeah, I start
would.
getting hypoglycemic.
Yeah,
at that point.
now I'm at 1, 2 o'clock.
start being
So
like
they literally can eat
seeing
breakfast
double.
because I'm not gonna eat anything.
I be
anyway.
seeing double. I be. Does anybody got anything?
Moving in
here?
slow motion.
Right. Yeah. I don't eat until late. Oh
No,
my,
but we don't eat breakfast like that. I agree.
No, we don't.
But you know what I do have? I have like little bars in my.
Yeah.
so
I
I'll
would
eat
do that and
Like,
some
I'll eat that.
some tea or something. Oh, my
And I
son
love oatmeal.
My son is watching. Hey, child. He know I don't eat
I
till
love
1
oatmeal.
or 2 o'clock.
I love oatmeal.
I heard a thing about oatmeal recently that said oatmeal is only good for horses. That it's a fattener.
No.
That oats are a fattener. And actually, my doctor, my primary care, I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I'm trying to slim down. I eat oatmeal. He was like, don't eat
Y'all
that.
think this is something new?
He said,
First of all, we were poor, okay? And I'm sure my mom gave us oatmeal.
I'm just saying.
to fill us.
I'm just
Hence
saying.
the
yeah.
rice. Hence
Yeah.
the,
But now at this
or
age,
hence the soup with all the vegetables in it that you can
listen,
afford.
but now
Like,
at this age,
yeah,
it's a fattener.
Grits.
Grits too.
Yeah.
It's a white grain.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
It
course.
sticks to you. But it's a fattener. So oatmeal ain't the most
Unfortunately, we
healthiest.
ain't have it. You know,
But you good
my mom
now.
was like, if I give them these, but
It's going to last them.
But I'm addicted to the struggle.
You know what? I'm done.
The struggle meal.
The struggle meals. Listen.
I'm addicted. I love me
No.
some oatmeal.
I like oatmeal too.
It's
It's a-
certain things like
it's a
no.
fattener.
Can I just talk about this? Can I
My
just talk-
primary care physician said it's a
Can
fattener.
I just tell you this? Beef sausage. No, I don't know if y'all ate that when y'all was little, but beef sausage with the bread. And I'm not talking about the little buns that
You talking about
everybody
white
does.
bread.
I'm talking about, well, I eat wheat now.
Oh,
moved up.
just
You
a
know,
little healthy.
White is not good for you. Look, go figure.
right.
It's not good for you.
Look, your mama on here. Your mama on here. Hey, Miss
So,
Jerry.
now I eat it with wheat bread.
Right.
With the mustard.
To be healthy.
Okay, with
be
the
healthy.
mustard.
Okay.
Like, I'm addicted to the struggle meal, so come on now. Like,
All I'm saying is, at our
Comfort right
age,
there.
if you are trying if you're trying to be healthy or if you're trying to come down,
love me some soup.
just some
now.
tips that oatmeal is, in fact, a fattener. And it's only good to fatten up horses, they said.
Keep that in mind when I'm having them cookies.
I be a horse.
When I'm having them
I'm good.
when I'm having them cookies, I keep that in mind.
See, Mom?
Archway?
Yeah, my mom is on
Archway?
here. And I don't know if y'all ever heard, we had a fight about this one time.
We did.
Me and her.
We had a big fight about it. Cause I know.
Farina.
I didn't know
we
what that
fought
was.
about farina and what was the other word for it? Farina.
Cream of wheat.
Cream of wheat.
Yeah.
Cream of wheat.
I didn't know
She
what
talking about,
farina
and
was.
I always know farina. I said, I'm going to go to the store
I was like, what is that?
and I'm going to just show you.
And then she got mad because I didn't know what it was.
Farina.
Even after you saw it, you
You
didn't
try to take
I
her black card.
never seen it.
All the
I
way.
had never seen
That's
it.
That's all the way.
Queen B, this the pin she said.
I said I like that pin.
Bougie.
I didn't know. I didn't know
So
what
this is
Farina
the thing.
was.
No, the thing is, and my mom made us. Let me tell you what my mom made us. It's a thing called Maypo, AMAYPO. And my mom will put the canned milk right with the butter and sugar.
Maypo.
Yes.
God help us.
Yes.
I'm not doing this with you today.
Yes.
MAYPO.
That's a thing.
And I am telling you that I still to this I love that. It just tastes like home. It just tastes like home. It tastes like
comfort.
It's milk.
So it's like a grain, like it's like a grain, like an oatmeal, but it's called Maypo, MAYPO. So when you put it, of course, you make it like you would an oatmeal, but you know, I take it out and then you put the canned milk with it, and then you put the butter and a little bit of sugar with it, and you stir it around, and it tastes so good.
It's in like the Farina family.
Yes, it is. It is in the Farina
We
family.
had
It's right in that same
a
section.
fight for a week about Farina because she was so mad at me that I did not know what it was.
I don't get it.
I didn't know what Farina was.
I did.
It's the same thing as
I didn't know.
polenta, right? Is that it?
Oh God. You're one of them too, huh? No.
No, I think the Maypo is
Listen,
more on the
I have
sweet
no
side,
clue.
Whereas
Y'all
the
know what
polenta
Farina-
is
was
more
it
like
It
a
don't
Farina?
grit.
have a lot of grit. Yeah, it don't have like a little.
bougie because I didn't know.
Yeah.
No, not the Maypo. The Maypo is more like the Farina.
Yes.
I saw polenta and I refused to try it. And I told the chef at the time, I said, what is this? They said polenta. I said, no,
Yeah,
wanted you
I
guys
eat
to make
that.
grits.
Yeah.
Oh,
made
and that's even different. That's even different as well.
I wouldn't even try it.
Yeah.
All right,
No
listen.
loss.
Listen. So to get into the topic, because we could go on. I know we could go on for days because we did have a really huge fight about that.
Somebody got whoever y'all dating or with. They gotta know what y'all like to eat too.
That too.
Okay?
You're right. And vacation styles and all of it,
And all
right?
that good stuff.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
listen, what I want to do today, because we have some amazing people, we always have amazing people in the studio with us, but today, and I know Trev is like, what are y'all talking about at this baseball game, right? So we have Trev. Trev is like, what? So we have Trev that's in the studio with us, everybody.
Trev,
Coach Trev.
what did you grow up on? Did you grow up on oatmeal or anything like that?
My grandmother was a oatmeal person. I did know what Farina was, but that's when I went to like a camp, like a sleepaway camp.
Okay.
And my wife hates them all. She hates all the struggle.
She probably
foods.
grew up on.
She
that.
says she hates all the
Right?
struggle food.
Did she grow up with that?
My son is on the cream of wheat right now. That's something that he does
I
eat
love
currently. So
I love it.
but oatmeal, it was oatmeal for me.
Okay.
Okay. Well, listen, we have Coach Trev in the virtual studio with us, but in the building, she is back, and I am so happy to have Dr. Darcella is back in the studio. We are going to go ahead and we're going to clap that up, and so let's just get into our topic. So the topic is Black love, healing the divide, and bridging the gap. And, you know, we've had the ladies in the studio with us. Thank you so much to Tiffany. Thank you so much to Jess, who's been in the studio and being transparent and just sharing your stories, sharing, you know, your experiences and some of the things that you've been through, because that's what we do here. We're extremely transparent. Shout out to Shalonda, who was watching, who was here with us the last time as well. And I wanted to start off with something that I heard. Right. And I want everybody to chime in, and I would like for, Coach Trev and Dr. Darcella to chime in on this too. And it was a video I sent in a group chat, because we do have a group chat outside of this show with the ladies from here. Right. And so there was a gentleman that said men are not attracted to or going to commit to effort from someone they're dating, but they are going to commit to and are attracted to impact. And that there is a difference between effort and impact. And I want to talk with you all about that because...
Hey, Shalonda.
I wanted to talk with you all about that because so many times, and we've even said it right here on the show, we have been dating, and, you know, we're all women of certain ages, so we've been dating for years now or whatever, if we've married before, not whatever, right? We always say, well, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, you needed this, I did this, you know, all of the things, and all of that is effort. And then 9 times out of 10, the man you really want ends up being with someone else that did not put forth the effort.
Oh my.
Was that impact? Whomever she was made an impact without the effort. So I want to talk about that for a bit because it's something that stood out.
What does that
to
look like?
Something that it stood out to me.
Yeah, I'm so.
So
I
Dr.
was thinking something else.
I mean, maybe you could. I don't know.
Dr. Darcella.
I think that the impact is it's transformation of that person's life. Whereas you can look at effort almost as if the wrapping paper, but the impact is the true gift. The true gift of what you're giving.
Okay.
And so sometimes effort can be very superficial, right?
You're
It can
right
be
about
these
that.
external things because I want that reward. I want you to say,
It's
look,
transactional.
right, exactly.
Even if you don't feel like it's transactional.
Absolutely.
It can be perceived as being transactional.
Absolutely.
Ladies, are y'all listening to this? Okay, go ahead.
Which can be a huge turnoff. I mean, I would think it could go the other way as well for a woman, but maybe not. But I could see how the men can say that's a turnoff because this is just a business right here. This is just transactional, and it's not really making a change in my life. And so I could truly see that. I understand why the brother said it. Don't send me no hate mail.
Can you? I know. Can you see this part right in that? Because I'm. Thank you for breaking it down. But can you see this part where a man would feel like this is what you would do for anybody?
Correct.
That they're not special.
Correct.
You understand? That this is because you got to remember, there's some things that are just innately in you, right? So you treat your whomever, your spouse or whoever you're dating, you treat your kids, you treat your parents, your best friends or whatever. They don't feel like it's a isolated thing tailor-made to them. It is just what you do across
just who
the
you
board.
are.
And do you think that's what?
And to add to that, it could appear to be an act out of desperation versus devotion.
Talk about it.
Versus
Talk
devotion.
about it.
I am so desperate to have you, and you can be, have anybody in my life. I'm willing to do anything. And some might actually think that's a good thing. He's saying that I'll do anything. I'm ride or die. And that may be a huge turnoff.
I told you
not
I got off that
desperation.
ride or die bus years baby.
Where are we riding to?
I'm not riding nowhere. I don't got why I got to
Where
die
we
for
riding
you.
to?
I'm not doing it. I'm just not. Trev, thoughts on this, please? Because I feel like this is gonna free a lot of women.
So I forgot. Doctor is the
Dr.
woman that was
Darcella.
just speaking before me. She was just spitting. I agree with a lot of what she was just saying. I will say when it comes to impact, sometimes that is just it's almost sometimes it can be a chemistry thing, meaning you can give the effort, but there's nothing you can do to make the impact with this person because maybe it was just bad timing. Maybe, you forgot, you just didn't say the right thing at the right time. You just weren't paying attention to them when they were speaking. And so you had the right effort, but maybe it was just bad timing or just the wrong words or the wrong actions, and the impact wasn't there. Now, if you had done something differently, you could have had the impact. I'm familiar with impact because, again, the first date with my wife, I remember reading a couple of studies. One of the studies was that on a first date, you want to have the adrenaline flowing. So as you guys know, the first date for me was the gun range. I took my wife to the gun range because I knew that the adrenaline flowing in that date would kind of push us to kind of be together. Now, it wasn't a guarantee, but here's the other thing. The second date, my wife knew that I liked mangoes and she knew I liked cilantro. So what did she do? She made a dinner with mangoes and cilantro as far as the chicken goes. So there was the effort there, but there was just certain things that had to line up in order for it to be an impact. Because if impact was just as easy as just what you do, then you could almost predict that you're going to have impact on someone. And I do agree that us men kind of look at something, even if you say, oh, we had sex on the first date, you may think, well, damn, that should have had a great impact. But in my mind, I may be thinking, well, how many people has she had sex with on the first date? So it doesn't translate as this huge impact it was because of me. Whereas I can look and pinpoint some of the things that my wife did early on. And I'm like, oh, she's paying attention to me. So it's not that she's just doing what she read in the book. She may be doing that, but she's also paying attention to me to kind of curtail her actions to match what I want. And I thought that was very important because I did the exact same thing with her.
Wow. Oh my,
Wow.
ladies, this can free a lot of us. You know what I mean? Seriously. Go ahead.
Because I just want to say, like, I guess everyone's level of impact or whatever it's definitely right. It's interpretation, right? Because I wanted to delve into a little bit more of what you said about desperation, right?
They could have swear I was going.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want you to talk about that because yes, sometimes, right, when you're either coming out of a relationship or you haven't been in a relationship in a really long time, for whatever reason, some people are just desperate to find love, be loved, find a partner, find what they're missing, right, in their life. Your take on the desperation piece of being with someone and kind of don't do it.
It's never going to amount to what you want it to amount. And quite honestly, you're going to be more broken in that process because you're chasing something that you're just not going to have. You know, and listen, I want to be very clear. I'm not kicking any sisters back in because I was in desperate lane at one season.
That's
you know, when you
point.
become of a certain age, you can go back and look as you look over your life and you think things over.
Please don't start.
I'm not gonna start. I'm not gonna start.
Right. Y'all just want to do this.
We need a tambourine.
We need
a tambourine.
We're gonna be in we're gonna be in full devotion by the end of this. But go ahead.
But I can recall how miserable I was in trying to make myself happy by chasing after something that wasn't God given to me in the first place. It wasn't mine to have. But I was so desperate.
Yes.
I thought I needed that. And perhaps I did need that, but that wasn't the person that was going to give it to me. And so what do? You pour your all into that. And when they don't reciprocate, guess what? Your Humpty Dumpty is Humpty and Dumpty because you're still more broken.
And then you start saying, well, I did this for you, and I know you needed that, so I did that for you, and this one, she don't do this for you, but I do this for you. Then you start trying to make yourself qualify.
Right. Exactly.
Right? You start trying to make yourself qualify. And in the meantime, you ain't made no impact in this
thank
man's
you.
life. And he like, all right, well,
look, thank you so much.
Thank you. You paid my car note. You paid my child support. You paid my phone bill. You bought me dinner. You did it. Okay, well, thank you, but
I had to learn this the hard way. I lied to you not. I had to
done
learn
it
this the hard way.
I
always tell everybody
it.
level of being transparent. When I had my kid's father left. I talk about it all the time. My kid's father left, and I was raising two kids by myself. And I always call it this: the Cinderella effect is what I had. Right? Somebody was supposed to come and swoop down and save me. Right. And in that moment of who I chose to save me, because I chose for them to save me, he wasn't the savior.
Right.
You understand? He wasn't supposed, like you said, he wasn't assigned to my life. He wasn't supposed to be. It just wasn't supposed to be. But I am in desperation. So what do? I do everything like a wife does.
Right.
Without the ring. Without any, I did.
Out of desperation.
I did that. We eventually wind up getting married. I will say we eventually wind up getting married.
Unfortunately.
But this is right. After 7 years of auditioning.
You got the part.
I got the part.
Unfortunately.
I done killed myself.
Yeah, for 7 years.
For 7 years. Doing all this saving.
And then what happened in the marriage?
You entering tired.
And then what happened in the marriage?
Y'all don't even want to know.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Don't do it.
You're absolutely right.
Don't do
that. If you are seeking whatever in desperation, if you are giving more of yourself, then you ought to.
Oh, can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there? Can I stop you right there? Because remember last year, again, I told everybody this year my word was alignment, right? And last year my word was balance and reciprocity. That's what I was working on with my therapist, right? It's the reciprocity part. Because when you are operating out of desperation, and these are keys that you're operating out of desperation, you're not getting any reciprocity. There is none there. I literally had this conversation last night with a friend of mine, and I said, well, let me ask you a question. When y'all were friends and you were doing all these things for him, were you getting a quarter of that in return with your friend? Were you getting a quarter of that in return? There was no reciprocity. He was accepting. Y'all would laugh, joke, ha ha, hee hee, but it was you going out of your way to help him. It was you going out of your way to do for him. What did he do for you in your life at all? How did he show up? Did he even show up? Or did you overlook the fact that he never showed up so that you can keep him around? And you just kept doing and doing and doing and doing and doing, and there was no reciprocity.
You will lose every time.
Well, you know, we have women out there who will show you their desperation, and I don't want to take this show down a dark road, but it's a conversation that I feel we have to have at some time, and that is, you know, women who will stay with these men who abuse their daughters.
Can we?
Okay, I know this is not that place, but Latoya knows I delve heavily into that work, helping women heal from that. Yeah. And you are so desperate, you know, your child says da 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 da, and you say, not him. You know, or you
see
put
that
it back
too many times.
Right, too more than I care to counsel someone on.
Can you just tell everybody what it is that you do for a living, so that they know that a lot of this desperation leads women to what you do for a living?
So my day job is I work for the government. I work for the correctional system, and I oversee the correctional system in the state of New Jersey. But as a psychotherapist, I do a lot of work with Black women healing. What is the number one thing that they're healing from? It's the sexual abuse and sexual trauma from growing up. Not just any sexual abuse and sexual trauma. It's the I told my mother, I told Big Mama, I told my auntie, and they put it back on me because Mama needed him to stay because he was paying the rent. He was doing this. He was doing that.
Or out of desperation, she just
Mama
needed
was
a man around.
Desperate. And again, I don't want to take the show down that road because I know that's not what we're here for. But I've seen it for so long and in so many women, and I've seen the negative impact it has had on their lives and the decisions that they make to the point where some of them have ended up in prison. Okay? And so we as women have to get to a point where we understand that we don't value anybody's life over our own. That is not selfish. That is not selfish. Okay, I got to take care of me first. Okay, not the man. I got to take care of me. And until we understand that, we're going to keep spinning our wheels. We're going to keep falling off of that Humpty Dumpty wall, looking for somebody to put us back together again. And like therefore, we go back in that cycle, back in that cycle, back in that cycle. So desperation and us as sisters, I really want us for 2025 moving forward to move out of that space of desperation.
Yeah.
What does it get you? Besides, a fictitious relationship, where do you see it taking the individuals that you counsel, or where do you see this?
And we all have to have fantasy in our life at some point in time. You have to have. And so for the women that I have counseled, it allows them to escape their reality. So if I can pretend like, we're the next, I don't know who's a hot couple out there.
I don't know anymore.
I was going to say Whitney and Bobby.
Remy and
Remy and Papoose. Yeah.
I don't know anymore. Everybody that ended was on Black Love is no longer. Right. So I have no idea anymore.
Right. And we still got to give it up for J and B.
Okay. And the hush.
Russell and Sierra.
Remember
Let's
Lemonade?
do Russell and Sierra.
Okay, then.
Russell
All
and
right,
Sierra.
then.
I could go with that because I do believe that they both fulfill something in each other's lives in a more positive way than some of the other couples.
Okay.
But for the women that I deal with, it allows them to, they believe it allows them to escape. but the only thing that they're escaping is dealing with that pain. The same way when we started this show talking about that silence in the car, you know, if we take the fantasy out of it for a moment, now you got to sit with the fact that he ain't all that.
Absolutely.
And some of the other stuff that have happened in your life. So, you know, my wish, my desire for all of our sisters is come to that space where we realize that we need to prioritize ourselves. We need to confront that trauma head on. Head on. We got to stop pretending, right? Because we good. You know, we're trying to clean it up.
We're taught that, though.
You know, we
a lot of it is passed down.
Absolutely. Because you know why? Because we're go on in this house.
Stay in
Don't
the
stay
house.
in this house. You know, it's ingrained in us. And if I could just love the world for my sisters, and I want them to experience the freedom that comes with dealing with that.
It all.
You know, there's freedom. It's going to be painful.
Very painful.
You know, going through that, talking through it, identifying it, working through it. But there is a freedom that comes that I would just want for all women. All women.
Jesus.
Of
Yeah,
course,
go ahead.
in the mic,
Tiff.
in the
Go
mic.
ahead.
I can already see. I ain't gonna have no statements tonight. Just questions. But how do you? All of this that you've said, all of us at some point. Do I need to get in? Girls?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All of us at some point have experienced an element of trauma.
Right.
So, all these years of trauma that we're taught, you got this. Run through that brick wall. You're gonna make it. You're gonna survive because grandma survived, mama survived, and what is supposed to look like survival is really just putting a Band-Aid over sunken places. So how do you even unlearn all of these different behaviors so that you can start putting in the variables of devotion?
So if we stick with the topic about Black love, that trauma will show up in your relationships.
Yes, it will.
It does.
And how you interact with your mate. And so if you find that you and your significant other are constantly having the same arguments that are initiated by you, that may be around some issues of trauma that you have. And so you have to be willing to deal with it. Here's what happens. You're going to hit the brick wall, right? At some point, carrying all of that, because the crown is what? The crown is heavy. The crown is heavy. And at some point, we all hit the brick wall, and it shows up differently. I don't know how it showed up for me. It could be different for anybody else in this room. You're going to hit the brick wall. And I'm not saying that means you're going to be hospitalized and have a nervous breakdown, but it will manifest itself in such a way that you will not be able to move forward. Not in a healthy way. Not in a healthy way.
So how do you no longer, the word you use that is pretend, we women are notorious for walking around with these masks and pretending for the sake of other people's feelings.
It's our default setting. It is.
It is. But when do we get to a place to say, I'm sorry, Ghost, when do we get to a place of putting ourselves, having the strength to say, I'm no longer pretending?
I think, and the very first time I met LaToya, and I was nervous with meeting her, and we spoke like off mic, and she saw the book that I was reading, and she knew that this trauma thing was like real to me. You have to, and I said to her, I appreciate you creating this space. Like, you have to have a sanctuary, and I'm not talking about the church with the big cross on top. You have to have a place of sanctuary, and that place of sanctuary has to be filled with women who you can be vulnerable with, who can hold your stuff, and you're not going to hear it, or have it repeated on social media and Facebook. So if you have to tell them the most raw, I mean, I've heard the most horrible trauma stories, and know that it's going to stay with them, and they're not going to judge you. See, a lot of times we don't want to tell the whole thing because we're afraid that we're going to be judged.
My whole life. That's
we're going to be judged, and you're not. And so again, having good sisters, be in good company, know the company that you keep, and make sure that they can be your safe space. because you sharing yours may allow them to share theirs. So I look forward to when Toya does this whole thing on recovering from that piece of trauma in life, because I guarantee you your social media gonna blow up because it's more women out there who are holding that than we know. Then we know, and you're looking at one. Okay, you see the now, right? You see the now, right? Educated, elected official, government official, da 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 da. This didn't happen overnight. This is the result of me working through my trauma, saying I'm not going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm not going to allow it to manifest itself in my relationship because I chased away some good ones, but more likely I chased away some horrible ones. I couldn't be ready for the man I have right now had I not done that work. Because guess what? That trauma would have pushed him away. I would have been desperate, needy, clingy, you know, and I don't want to speak for the, you know, Trevor can say, I don't know too many brothers who say that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Like, sign me up, you know.
Good segue.
Nobody.
No. And before we have Trev speak, I just want to say how the brother ended the statement between impact versus effort. He said, impact is the woman having boundaries. She shows up with boundaries. Wow. So she shows up with her boundaries of, okay, yeah, I like you, but no, I ain't doing all of this. And I like you, but yeah, I ain't going out of my way to do all that, especially if there's no reciprocity in this. Impact shows up with, I'm just going to be 100% authentically myself.
She's sure.
I can say what I want. I can say all the things. I can do all the things. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You just ain't for me, right? So it shows up as confidence. It shows up as boundaries. It shows up as those things. And you, if you are for him, it will make an impact in his life. But all of that effort shows up as, we just said, as desperation. Go ahead, Trev. You take it away. What's your thoughts on all of this?
So sorry. The first thing that came to my mind, I was reading something earlier today, and I'm big on the subconscious mind and a lot of the things that we do or how we present ourselves in a dating situationship or a relationship. A lot of it ends up being like some of the things that maybe some of the things we heard growing up, or like some of the things you guys are talking about, you maybe a trauma you experienced, but it ends up being a part of our subconscious. And so we go around making decisions, not even knowing that those decisions are heavily influenced by things from our past that we don't even know are influencing us. And one of the statements I saw, it says that your brain changes what you see to match what you expect to see. Your brain changes what you see, and there's a part of your brain that works that way called the RAS, but it changes what you see to match what you expect to see. And you know, if you think, I'll give you an example with my son. If you think like bees are dangerous, you'll spot bees everywhere. You'll hear flies flying by you, and there's a bee somewhere. You'll hear gnats flying by you and think it's a bee, and it's because, you know, it's in your subconscious that this thing is I'm so fearful of this thing that you'll find a way to see it in your everyday, even if it's not there. And I noticed that my son recently, because he's been afraid of bees, like a lot of kids, running away from them, running almost across the street without looking. And I noticed now he sees like a bumblebee and he's like, oh, there's Ted right there. Hey, look, there's Bill right there. And he's still scared. But I noticed that he's trying to reframe that, almost like trying to rewrite the way he looks at it, because I tell him all the time, like, you're fearful of something that's not going to do anything to you. And so I think a lot of people, when it comes to that subconscious or that trauma that they're moving through the world with, I mean, if you're not trying to find a way to reframe, I think your feelings and your thoughts all have a frequency. And it's the reason why you continually find those type of guys or those type of women. It's the reason why, you know, you may not have the impact in that relationship, because your brain is training you to think that this is not going to work. You know, you've had so many guys that didn't work out, and subconsciously you're almost telling yourself that this is probably not going to work out either. And then that ends up, you know, even desperation has a frequency. Desperation is rooted in this idea that it may not work, so I have to overcompensate.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're approaching it in that fashion, again, it's the B. You'll see it even when it's not there. And so you're never going to present yourself in a fashion that will make the impact because you're subconsciously telling yourself it's not going to work. So I feel like it's so easy to say, do the work. I think a lot of people, I mean, it depends on what they're working on, but I feel like there's so many options or so many different techniques that you can use or habits you need to redevelop in order to shift that energy. But again, how do you even know where to begin? Most people don't. They just constantly just go to the next situationship and the next relationship with the same frequency, wondering why they keep getting the same result. And they're beautiful women, or they're handsome, well, financially sound men. And you figure, well, how come they can't find love? Well, how come they keep bumping into the same situation over and over again? I think the frequency that they give off, their subconscious, is constantly in the same spot. It means it's not going to work out, or it's just the wrong frequency that they're giving out. But that's what I thought. That's a thought that came to my mind when you guys are speaking.
Yeah, yeah. I just
deep, y'all. Deep.
This is. I'm so glad that you said that. It's about how you frame things, right?
Yeah.
So B and I, speaking of our vacations, right? And this was something I was just going to talk to you about behind the show anyway. But when we always go on vacation and we get in salt water, we use that as a cleansing, right?
Right.
So we always, as soon as, I don't care where we are, we've been in Dominican Republic, we've been in Miami, we've been wherever there's some salt water, right? We go in there and be like, all right, what we getting rid of? You know what I mean? We got to get in this water. We going to cleanse. We going to do this, that, or the other, right? So a few years back,
for my birthday.
What frequency? I don't know what frequency we was on. But a few years back, we got in this water and said all these different things we wanted, maybe not detailed enough, but I do believe it was because we may have been in the wrong headspace. Okay? And guess what? We got exactly what we asked for.
We did.
We got exactly what we asked for.
Yeah.
And it is only the realization now, years later, that I literally was talking about this last night, and I swear to you, in detail, it jogged my memory of some of the things I said in the water, and realized
in the water.
That last relationship I had
was exactly that.
He was every single thing I asked for. Every single thing I asked for. And when I tell you, when I think about it,
Your
I'm
mind
like,
was blown.
Like,
stunned to speak.
Girl, we'll talk about it after the show.
Okay.
Like the things I said. And let me say one thing I said. Right? One thing I said, right? because this is where we go wrong as women. One thing I said was, oh Jesus. One thing I said was, oh God. And women are going to hate me when I say that. Women are going to hate me when I say this. And you know what? Just hold my hand. Okay. Women are going to hate me when I said this. One thing I said was, it don't matter what he has. Do you remember me saying this? I remember we were sitting on Collins Avenue too.
Oh, it hurts.
Don't it? I said, it don't matter what he have. It don't matter what he don't have. Because you know what? As long as we're growing together and as long as we're getting all of this stuff together, we can make this relationship work. Do you remember me saying that?
Yes.
And he came to me.
I was there.
Wait, and he came to me with what?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Wait. And what did I try to do, best friend?
Make him have something. Make him have something.
When I say in detail, every single thing I said on that vacation, I realized recently that he was all of those things.
Go back to the water.
Child, we going back next. We going back this weekend.
Water is
we going back this weekend. We going back this weekend. We going back. Listen, listen. But this is the thing. As I go back to the water this time, as Trevor mentioned, it's a different frequency. It's a different headspace. Yes. It is now with boundaries. It is now expecting that reciprocity. It is now all of those things, right? So I'm hoping this weekend is a redo
I remember.
You know what I mean?
I remember, and I go back to only because y'all know I'm married again, but I will go back to, just being in my 20s, right? And we make a lot of mistakes, right? Oh my God. Think about my 20s. Like I literally have a daughter who's 23, and she'd be like, girl, she go to tell me something, and I'd be sitting there like, this is me all day long. I remember, and then, but the thing is, I'm able to tell her, like, all right, I ain't that type of mom. Like, I want you to experience it, I want you to live or whatever, but I also want to give you the, hey, I don't want you to go that way, right? I got to give you sound advice because I love you, right? But I remember messing up in my 20s. I remember doing stuff in my 20s. Hell, in my 30s, I feel like,
I messed up 3 years ago. So I'm just.
But I did a lot of craziness in my 20s, like stuff that I would be like, yeah, Basima, wow, like stuff that I think about now and be like, what were you thinking? What were you this outcome, this thing that you thought, you know how, and I'll give you an example. You know how your mom will come to you and be like, he ain't it, and you be like, you always say that with everybody, right? And you always say, and that's look, and then they be like, well, that's right. That's how it ended up with you. Well, who make you better than me?
But because they always end up being right.
Ends up the same, right? But of course, we being in the mindset that we are, oh no, it's not going to happen to me, or it's different. Right? That word is different with me. And I just remember, like I said, in that desperation, I was desperate because my kid's father left. I had an esteem of, I had 2 kids. I was young. So by the time I was 23, I had 2 kids, Now my daughter's 23 right now, no kids. And I'm like, you know what I mean? At her age, I had 2. So then by 25, I have 2. So I just looked at the world. I thought, whoa, it's me. I got the 2 kids. Ain't nobody going, want me. I'm going, No. That's the thought. Remember my thought
I know that
process.
was a thought. But you keep saying how that was in your 20s. Can I take y'all to 40? So when I got into this relationship at 40, because you talking about 20s.
But I'm gonna bring it up because I'm just saying, like, that's that Cinderella effect that I talk about, or Cinderella was pick me. Oh my God, I need you to save me, because I had gone through all of this stuff when I really just needed me to save me.
Yes.
I needed me to save me, and I needed to be whole.
I want you to say it one more time.
Me to save me.
Okay.
And I needed to be whole before I even got in this type of relationship. So whatever's added to me, doesn't make me whole.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So
that's that balance.
That's the part. Like I'm
needed.
like, and I had to learn that. And I was like, because I was wondering, what mindset was I thinking of? I'm a foster kid. I'm an adopted kid. Then I wind up being a single mom. Then I didn't finish my education. You know what I mean? That's all I knew. I was straight A student in school. And then, you know what I mean? And then finances is hard. And then it's just all of those mindsets.
Yeah. So I'm fast forward to your 40s. Look,
telling my story over
right.
here.
So
that's my story.
Fast forward to your 40s and still having insecurity, but not knowing that you had insecurity,
exactly.
right? So we go on this trip, we go in the water, we saying all these things he want. He ended up being every single thing I asked for, not knowing that at 39 years old, that all of the things that I was saying I wanted in a man was absolute ridiculous.
I wanted to ask that question.
Absolute ridiculousness.
I wanted to ask that question. I was sitting over here holding myself when you said, he don't have to have. Did
Dr. Darcel?
Did you mean that, or did you feel you needed to say that?
I felt like I needed to say it, and let me tell you why.
But why she had a stupid friend that was over here holding her head? That's what I'm saying.
We wasn't in the right headspace. We wasn't in the right headspace.
Why did I let you?
Listen. We wasn't in the.
Choked you.
We wasn't in the right headspace. We wasn't in the right headspace. That's why I said. Fast forward to 40 years old, and you're still making bad decisions, not knowing that you're making these decisions out of some whatever. So as B said, you're looking for the fairy tale. I wasn't necessarily looking for the fairy tale at that point, but at this point I was on Build-A-Bear. Right? So I was like, listen, I'm 40 years old, so I don't, I'm not going to get the fairy tale at 40. So now let me just build one. Right?
Yep.
So he don't got to have all the things. He don't got to, because as long as we together and he interested in me and we just going to make this thing come together off the heels of, off the heels of being with somebody off and on for 10 years and watching him get married on Facebook. Okay. And then, okay. And then the next year,
I thought it would have been me.
Literally.
And that
headspace, that's the headspace I'm in. So went through that for a year, right? And then coming out of it, thinking I'm now ready, still hurt. But thinking I'm now ready, well, you know, I'm 40 years old now, that fairy tale life like you had in your 20s, somebody come to save you. Ain't nobody coming to save me. I already do everything on my own anyway. So you know what? Let me just add a man into this however he comes.
Because you're the nurturer.
Yeah, I'm the nurturer. So you know what? Let me just add a man into this however he comes. I can accept it. I can deal with it. As long as he can deal with me in my situation, I can deal with him and his situation. And that's
because you're strong enough.
Yeah, because I'm strong enough. I'm strong enough for the both of us. I'm strong enough for the both of us. I can manage this for the both of us. I can take it on all in my masculine energy. Just all in my, yeah, I can take on everything. Yeah, young man, right? Sir, stop it. I can take on everything for the both of us because I'm stronger. I can do it. And literally manifested all of this foolery. And he was exactly every single thing I said.
Yes, you did.
He was every single thing that I said.
And that you settled.
Completely settled.
Not you said, but you also
completely settled.
That was a settled manifestation.
That was a settled manifestation.
Look, I don't know if you really gonna make it happen. So this the settled manifestation.
And that's exactly what it was.
No, we're not doing settled
and that's exactly what it was. You know why? Because you're tired. Because you're tired. Because you're frustrated. Because you're heartbroken. Because you just been through so much, and through all of those things, it's like, all right, could you just give me something at this point? Because a warm body. Because that's all he was. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to be alone. I'm getting older. Who wants to be 40 years old, keep starting over? Who wants to keep meeting people? Who wants to keep going through all these things? Yes, I've been married before. I know how things. Let me just have somebody.
But I think there's also a certain amount of guilt or shame that women carry by speaking their truth and saying, I would like a man with money who can take care of me.
There's a lot of shame. You're shamed for that, especially in our culture.
Right, exactly.
You're shamed for that.
I have never been
shamed. So you'll do the settlement.
Chanel, have I ever been shamed?
No. Well, I wouldn't shame
I'm
you
just
for
saying,
that.
No. What I'm saying is, have I ever dated anybody?
No, never.
What am I going to say?
You ain't never dated nobody that ain't had nothing.
I ain't never dated nobody that ain't had nothing.
And that was...
Never.
Anyway, that I did it one time. Like I said,
I grew up in poverty.
Listen,
you think I'm gonna continue in poverty?
Listen, and let me tell you why. And let me tell you why I did it. Because again, going back to that desperation and all those things, then people tell you, oh well, don't date your type, because when you date your type and you need to do something different. I had never been with nobody that ain't had nothing either. Mm-hmm. Nobody.
No, but you know what? I'll go deeper with you than that. I think a lot of people, you got to remember, a lot of people judge you, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen that where you drive the car and you got this and you're put together. And a lot of people always said you're bougie, right? They labeled you that.
I am.
They used to, she's not approachable because she's bougie. They label the most down to earth person to know,
Right.
but they always they look at her and then be like, oh, she is this. And I think what you started doing was, like he said, he was saying subconsciously, what you start doing is you start taking that, oh, people are labeling me this, so let me go and date
beneath station.
Me. So it's almost as to prove a point.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm feeling you all the way.
To
I
prove a point.
And I did. And I did.
No, I can be. No, I'm not proving. Sorry, not me.
And I did. And all I did was manifest struggle love.
That's it.
At 40.
Yeah, it was.
That was all I did was just, I'll just take this and I'll just do that and blah, 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 blah. And I manifested struggle love at 40 and then got in it and was like, wait, what is, I don't even know this. What, how do you operate in this? What is this? Like, what is, this is what people
I always had
an issue because
you are coming from a 2-parent household, and I'm not saying this. I want y'all to let me finish.
I should have never been in
2-parent household with a father that adored the ground she walked on. So she's not familiar with this struggle. Like,
I'm not.
You're not.
I
So
wasn't.
it baffled me. Like me.
Like, why are you in
I'm
this?
over here like,
Why are you in this?
Why are you in this?
Right,
why are you
right.
choosing this?
Right.
You understand? And I always would say, like, Toya, if your father was alive, bro, you would have y'all be sitting there on that couch having a lot of talks, and he gonna want to know why you settle for this.
A man
when
like that.
when my thing is, the first person that loves you're supposed to fall in love with is your father. Now everybody don't have that story, right? Everybody don't have that story, but I know she did, and I know the way this man honored and loved her. So I never understood the choosing of somebody that is not as equal to the love you receive from the first man that loved you.
And that's so important to have a friend, a sister girl who knows that about you and can be honest and turn to you and say, and y'all might fuss and cuss, but
No, we didn't fuss and cuss. I said, you right. I said, oh, you right.
She did.
No, I didn't. Ain't no fussing and cussing. Girl, you sus.
Yeah,
you
she
right.
get quiet, she internalizes
I be
it,
like,
and then she says,
That's important, though. And so many of us, so many friendships have manifested itself into, I don't want to fight with you, so I'm not going to be honest with you, sis.
And that's not fair, because they wind up married to somebody that they're miserable with.
Me and my bestie, we would be rocking and rolling. And I knew it was all from love, but we still be rocking and rolling, cussing and fussing.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the week, we, still be cool. But you have to have that person who's going to be that honest post for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I think no, because I think the settling is a thing. I think, like I said, from the space of, and it's not about, I think for me, it wasn't about the person making more money than me, so to speak, like, oh, they got to, make a certain amount or anything like that. But because I did struggle, and I've always wanted someone to teach me something, right? Teach me more than what I knew.
Right.
Because if I'm with you and you can't teach me nothing, then you're not for me. Like,
well, they
clearly,
say if you the smartest person
I don't
in the
want to
room,
be that.
you need a new room, right?
I don't want to be that.
I don't want to be no,
right. So my thing is that I've always and like I said, like I am not. I'm sorry. I am not. We're not struggling together. We're not doing that.
Right.
I work hard, like physically work hard. I think you need to work hard too. I need you. You need to match my fly. You need to work. Alignment. You need to work. You need to work hard, and I'm just not doing that. And I'm at the age that we're at, like literally. Like, no, in our age now, like I really am going, sorry, bro, you don't have a car. I'm sorry.
No,
I do. And somebody might accept that. But we do have to have checklists.
Right.
Right? And if my checklist is that, I'm sorry. I have no offense to you, but you just can't fit in my space.
And that brings us back. That's
all I want.
Brings us full circle to how we started with the impact versus effort, and them saying that impact is from you having your own boundaries. It is from your level of confidence and you having your boundaries and you having the freedom to be yourself, right? So you're not going into dating with this mask, as Tiffany mentioned, right? You're not going, listen, you like me, you don't, this is me.
That's it.
This is what it is. Of course, I I'm going to be respectful. I'm going to be all these things, you know what I mean? But this is me personality-wise, right? This is who I am, and this is what it is. And these are my boundaries.
I want to say this quickly to you guys. Give me an example of, have you ever felt like you've dated in desperation? Dated.
Dr. Darcella was like, yeah,
whatever.
Dated in desperation. No, but what I do notice is when I come off as the boundary woman, the woman with demands, not financial demands, but like, this is me, they are more attracted versus when
you present yourself as
the nurturer and the softer side. I hate to say softer side, but it is the softer side of me. It's like, not right now. Yeah. I get the I'm not ready yet. I need more time when I'm coming off softer versus when I'm like, perfect example this week. I told him, he asked me, am I interested in him? I said, maybe. And that led into a whole practically like, please give me a chance conversation. Versus, I know I have someone else that I'm like, I just want to love you.
Yeah.
He's like, not right now. So I see both sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
My
a hard.
question is, how do you figure out the middle ground?
Yeah.
Because once I like you,
I think you
But
just,
but
I
but
just
with
did.
you,
I think you just did.
Right, I think you just did because
think
what's
you just
funny
figured it
is,
out.
remember, you came out of a marriage and you said that it's hard for you to turn that off. You've been married for a long time.
Ooh.
So it's hard for you dating right now to not give everybody what you already know to give.
But I know the limits because
Okay.
I don't give you wife.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
give you wife. But once I like you, those boundaries
You
that
do
I
too much. You do too much.
You do too much.
You do too much.
Yeah.
Go all in.
You do
I'm
too
all
much.
in. Once I like
You're
you,
all
I'm
effort.
I'm all effort.
You're all
I
effort.
went from
Yeah.
impact, and I didn't get the commitment at impact.
Yeah.
Because I know I've done it.
Deep.
And then all of a sudden,
Deep.
You just all effort.
Deep.
Wow.
Deep.
Uh-huh.
Tiff, you.
Uh-huh.
Tonight is tonight. Go ahead.
Patty.
Go ahead.
I can relate to what she said. Now, as far as the desperation, I don't know how to say this. I don't think I've dated in desperation, but I've responded in desperation when I was in deep with someone because I didn't want to lose them.
Yeah.
But as far as just starting to date or just dating just to be in desperation, I was never beat for
What does
that.
that look like?
Yeah.
To do that is almost traumatizing because you want to prove yourself to this person
Trying to prove and
that
qualify.
nobody could top you.
Yes.
And that you are the best thing. Okay, she might have a little bit of body, but I know what she ain't got. You know, so and I'm that one that I will talk smack about everything. I sure will, because when it comes to
Start sending it to
me,
your girlfriends like, she ain't even a looker. Look
she's
at her.
not even a looker. Okay, so she may have a little waist, but look at this. Her whole grill is jacked up. You know, so something like that.
Yes.
You know, so I don't date in desperation.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a relationship where I am in love with somebody, I can become desperate to keep them.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that whole nurturing and versus treating them a certain way. There was someone that I'd like to call 39, and because he was 39 years old. Well, he's now 40. His birthday was yesterday, and he was just doing too much. And he was doing the trying to prove, and I hated it. But yet there was someone that a couple of years ago that I was doing a nurturing thing, and I did not get the response that I thought I should have gotten. But yet here I am treating somebody who I know that person would tell me he loved me within 24 hours if I allowed him to. But I said, nah, you're doing too much. Because I'm not that person where you have to overdo stuff. Don't text me 3 and 4 times within an hour, 2 hours asking me the same question.
Right.
You know, and then when I answer you still going to ask me the same question.
Doing the most. Doing the most.
We're not doing that. There was a point where I got a text message 1 hour. How are you feeling? I responded, I'm fine. 2 hours later, how are you feeling? I said, I'm still fine.
You're stuck, okay? We are not doing this in repeat all day.
How are you doing? I said, everything is fine. And then after that, I sent a long message.
Yeah, he just didn't know what to say. He didn't know. He didn't know how to communicate.
You fixed it?
Toy, I fixed it. It is not me. I'm not that one. I'm not the one.
We just not gonna be on
we just
repeat
because
all day.
at the end of the day, And I think I was trying to just be nice because the truth of the matter is when your heart is in another place, you can have somebody come up, be fine, say, let me take you out and wine and dine you and do this. But when your heart is seated in someone else's seat, you can't move from that. So just about that whole desperation piece.
Dr. Darcella.
Well, look, the answer was yes, yes, yes. Dated in desperation, tried to keep folk in desperation, all crazy. Thank God for forgiveness. But I'm going to speak to boundaries, though. So interestingly enough, Andre said he fell in love with me because of my boundaries.
Really?
He said when I walked in a room, he said the way I commanded the room. He said the way I was, giving out orders to people and people were moving and shaking. And he was thinking to himself, like, for him, I was a date up. These are his words, not me. Because, different backgrounds, college, not college, so on and so forth, hood, suburban,
yes.
da-da-da-da-da. But he said the thing that he loved the most was my boundaries and my strength. Now, full transparency, at some point that did become a problem in the relationship because I am that strong.
Absolutely.
And I had to learn to repurpose that in a way that it didn't come across as being a B and being overbearing.
Absolutely.
But it was my strength and my boundaries. He loved my sense of command and presence and not being so clingy that he said was attracted to him. Not that I was just this, my tire is broken. Can you help?
That damsel in distress.
Yeah, that wasn't for him.
Tired of it.
But yeah, in terms of dating in desperation and all that, try to keep a joker in desperation, all of that, and life was just miserable.
Yes, it is.
Life was just miserable.
It is.
I was a miserable
But I got a
person.
Go ahead.
I got a question because I'm glad you brought that up. So damsel in distress. And I remember me and you having this conversation off like by ourselves. And we were looking at other cultures, I'm going to say. And their damsel in distress translate into them being married right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other
cultures, yes.
But in our culture, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
Translate into
it doesn't.
that. Do you understand? I'll get get.
So does that? Is that when the man just is able to control the woman?
No. Damsel in distress mainly. I act like I don't know. I don't know what is going on. Oh my God, fix me, fix it. You need them to do everything. A lot of cultures, other cultures, literally, and
it works.
She had an example. Like a girl that was an example. Oh my God, my tire, I'm frazzled. And he would get on the phone and be like, listen, this is what we're going to do. This was, whatever. And that translates into he needs her.
I love her and I'm going to take care of her.
And I'm going to take care of her.
Yeah.
Now us, it doesn't. So that's why I want to bring that up.
Andre, like, you better use that AAA card I gave you. Babe. He'd be like, babe, you got AAA card? Call some.
You'd be like,
well, Trev.
For us, it'd be like, hello?
Trev, can you
call me?
Can you speak to that if you still around? I know Trev is at his son's game there.
Why is that working in other cultures?
I'm home watering my plants now.
Oh, okay.
What part did you want me to speak to? I'm sorry.
In other cultures, it's seemingly the women are softer and a bit more needy. And it translates into positive reactions with their men. It seems.
Listen, we can't even engage in other cultures as much trauma as we've been dragged through, as much pain has been projected onto us. Like we're almost like a surviving culture when it comes to that, and that's why I'm such an advocate of trying to, Black men and women trying to work together to find a common ground, because it's all by design. If you've ever read or heard of the Willie Lynch letter, and you see the psychology over 400 years ago, the psychology, the genius that is these slave owners that have they did certain things and they knew that us black people would be affected 400 years later. Now, if you said that somebody came up with some, psychology and some ideas now, we have all this technology, we have so much information, people are so much smarter now, I would get it. But 400 years ago, they knew that the things that they did would affect us 400 years later.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, listen, if B with the long hair, I don't want to say any particular. I'm thinking of specific cultures that you may be talking about
Beyonce
specifically,
song.
but
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Becky.
listen.
Okay, got it.
We can't engage in it. We can't. And yes, I think part of that Willie Lynch letter is to kind of push this black woman to be the leader of the household and to emasculate the man, and all of that worked. All of that worked. So, we can't engage in that. As far as you almost have to not even. There's almost no point in engaging in it.
But we see it, right? We see it, and although we can't engage, it's disheartening to those who are dating. Right? You know what I mean? It's disheartening to those
I'm sure it's
who are dating and are watching these women be married.
For instance,
right away.
For example, I started surveying 10 years ago when I walked into the corporate spaces who was married and who wasn't. I started surveying 10 years ago. It is to a point now, especially when I worked in pharma. I was always after I got divorced, I was always the only person in the room that was not married. And if there was somebody else that wasn't married, it was because it was another black woman. It was never an Indian woman. It was never an Asian woman. It was never a Spanish woman. It was never a white woman. It was never a white man. It was never an Indian man. It was never a Chinese man. It was always, if there was somebody else in that space that was not married, it was me and another black woman, if there was another black woman in the room. And you start watching this and you start seeing how they interact and you start hearing stories of your coworkers of, oh my God, I couldn't even close the garage door. My husband had to come home and he had to do it. And I'm thinking, well, hell, I had to climb up, fix the garage door and then paint it, then come back, pay for it, had to do this, fell, got up, still went to work.
Change my tire.
Right, all the things, right? And so it is disheartening when you see in other cultures, women get to be that soft, women get to be that feminine, women get to be that damsel in distress all the time. And you over here, I done already paid all my bills, fixed my house, painted, got up on the roof, did all the things. Wait.
All the effort.
And then look at my counterparts and it's a man and I'm like, so can you offer me anything or... I mean, a kind word,
just
a gesture. I ain't even asking you to pay the mortgage. I'm just saying, like, can you say, oh wow, you really clean that gutter really well, Latoya?
You like chicken, so bacon.
Well, listen, I do understand exactly where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And I feel like my role in this and in any of my relationships around me, male and female, is I'm gonna be hard on you. And again, I read this today and it says your brain changes what you see to match what you expect to see. And I think they have done a number on us to plant subconsciously the thoughts that we think, even something as simple as black people are violent. Like they promote that thought so much and you're like, really? But then that doesn't even make sense as if we're the only people that's violent, So if I'm fearful of bees, guess what? It's a bee out here. The people who like bees never see them. The people who are afraid of bees will find them. I mean, you'll be outside in the forest and they'll find one bee somewhere. Yeah. So I bring that up to say this, that don't even subscribe to, we have to talk about it, obviously, because people are experiencing it. So that the purpose for the show, obviously, we're going to talk about it. Yeah. But my advice to those people who feel that that's their reality is to realize that reality was given to you. And the only way to kind of change that is to change the frequency. Like if I don't like the radio station that I'm listening to, it's as simple as changing the station to tap into another frequency. But that's what you do in a radio. But in real life, it really boils down to how do I systematically change the habit, my bad habit of thinking. Like I have this bad habit of being me. meaning I think this way all the time. I always expecting, that Black women are not going to, experience this type of love. Black men are always going to be doing this. If I'm a man, dating, Black women always, Black women are always, this and that. Like, that is a habitual way of thinking. And how do I get out of that? Because the only way to attract or to change what you see is to change how you think about certain things. And I feel that a lot of people, especially Black people, we have all, I see it online all the time, like the red pill and all this other stuff. I'm like, y'all don't realize that you're convincing yourself to think a certain way, which is only going to enhance what you're getting, or take away from what you're getting.
It's funny that you talk about, Willie Lynch and everything, and I'm so like pro-Black. But the one thing that a lot of people, I love laughter, right? So when they started this movement of the Black Boy Joy, I thought it was the best thing in the world when you see carefree Black young boys just being, right? And when I say just being, just graduating, just laughing, just with water guns and just doing the things that we deem as like, we deem as like, like childhood. Yes, just a regular childhood of them riding bikes and doing things. And I just remember that, like you said, the slave mentality and the things that they did, that when we laughed at slave, they actually made us, they put our heads in a bucket or in a brown paper bag and told us not to laugh. So anytime, it's crazy because I've always had this thing with laughing smile. My name is Basima. It means the smiling one. But I've always loved, like, if I'm walking somewhere and I see somebody laughing with their friends or, whatever, and just having that carefree. And don't get me, like, you can make me laugh if you with your girlfriend, you are cracking up about something and you be, like, hysterical. It's almost like, that joy is something different. We don't find that all the time. Right. We don't find to imagine that a slave owner would say, "Oh, you want to laugh? Put your head in a bag or put your head in the bucket until you stop laughing. You can, I can then see you."
It's funny you said that because I was at Wawa today getting that free ice, and I was getting out the car. Before I got out the car, these two Black girls pulled up, and when they got out the car, they looked angry, and I'm like, "Whatever happened to just like?" And then I said, "You can't judge because you don't know what they're dealing with." But I'm like, their whole disposition was like, had like the gas face. And when you just mentioned that whole Black Boy Joy, or would you like to see people laughing, there's a lot of stuff.
A lot of hurt people.
Yes.
Especially right now.
And hurt people hurt
It's
people.
a lot of hurt people right now.
Hurt people.
It's a lot. Like you said, I mean, Dr. Darcel, you put it, it's so crazy that you would bring all the things that you did to the table because, people don't know what people go through, right? Childhood trauma is and if you don't deal with it, like you said, it comes back to you. And then your childhood trauma does show up in relationships. Mine has. I know that, there's certain things that we've all gone through that it has showed up in not just our relationships with our partners, but relationships with friends, relationships with, at jobs. Sometimes you could lose a job. You could actually miss an opportunity. You can do all of those things because of trauma that's trapped inside of you that you have not let out.
But and also, can I just add one thing to while it's on my mind? Even with the absence of childhood trauma, you have to understand, for those who can say, I don't have any childhood traumatic memories that impact me, you have a whole race of people who are dealing with systematic racism that it's causing a level of trauma that they're also trying to figure out, how do I deal with this? How do I maneuver this? Maybe they're in these corporate spaces or whatever, and we fail to realize the impact of that on their lives. And there's no safe space for them to process it, because God forbid you have a safe space, they might label it DEI and fall out.
But Dr. Darcel, this is the thing. It's funny you should say this, because I always say,
when we got to wrap up after this, because Jeff is ready to go home.
I always say this part. There's a lot of us that deal with a lot of childhood trauma, and then there's some, like you said, that doesn't. but there's adulthood trauma too.
Absolutely.
There is adulthood trauma too. And that to me has a great impact as well. While I'm trying to maneuver through the world and I'm going through all of this. So I revisit, like you said, you look back. I'm 40 now and I revisit my 30s and I revisit my 20s. And then I'm 50 now and I revisit the 40s and the 30s and the 20s. You know what I mean? Like, stuff hurts.
You got divorce is traumatic. You got
Losing
loss of
parents.
a child, losing a parent. You have being of a
Houses
certain
and-
age and not being in a relationship. To some people, it has a traumatic effect on there. So there is,
Yes.
trauma is not limited to one single
Right.
aspect of our life. It manifests itself in many, many ways at many points and times in our life. The point is that we have to talk about what we're dealing with. Stop with the I'm fine, because we're not.
You're not.
We're not. And it's okay to not be okay. I said this on my social media, but it's not okay to pretend to be okay and refuse to ask for help. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, I agree.
Mental Health Month.
Yes.
So listen, I know we are way over, and we already been disrespecting Jeff because
so
we
sorry.
need to end the show so that Jeff can go on home, and me too actually. And so with that being said, this being our final show, I think Trev, you had some great final words for the ladies here when you said more in the quantum physics realm of your frequency, right? And the frequency you vibe where your vibration levels are, the frequency you're on, you start to see what it is that you're thinking, no matter if that's negative or no matter if that's positive. For us in the scientific world, that's quantum physics. For us in the religious space, that's faith, right? Right. So, I mean, it's whatever it is, it's sometimes you got to be Delulu in your own head in order to see that in your world. Right. In order for it to show up in your world, whether it's space, sowing seeds, reaping, whatever it is you want to call it. It is what it is on both sides of it. So I thank you so much for that. Dr. Darcella, any final words to the ladies out there? Because I really do feel like we hopefully broke some things with the impact versus effort in this dating space. I really do feel like there are some that are listening that are like, okay, maybe this part was on me, or maybe these were some mistakes I made, or maybe this was me, So any final words to the ladies as we end part 2 of this discussion?
Short and sweet. Black love starts with me.
Okay, breaking it on down. Trev, any final words here? And before we see you live on June 7th, make sure y'all go on Eventbrite and get your tickets, because once they're sold out, we ain't creating no more spaces because this is an intimate environment. But go ahead, Trev, any final words here?
No, again, I agree with what you just said as far as a summary of like that recap as far as quantum physics, which I'm happy you know that topic. But just really quickly, like I wrote a book on relationships, 2-3 years before I started dating my wife, and now 14 years married. And I think that the message in that, sure, it's a great book. I think a lot of people learn from it, but the message in that is I expected to be here. I expected to be in a house with 2 kids. I don't have a dog yet, but my point is, you won't write a book with that much passion and not expect to see that result.
Yes.
So when you think about something and you have the positive feelings behind it, and you expect it to happen, and you're okay if it doesn't happen, it has no choice but to happen. So just think about that when you think about the things that are negatively affecting you. Try not to focus on them. Try not to focus on the bees that are flying around you. Focus on what you want, lay out a plan for it, and expect it to happen.
Absolutely.
But don't be desperate for it to happen. Be okay if it doesn't. Because I would have been perfectly fine single. I'd have been a player. But I expected to be here. And so just expect what you say you want it, expect it. That's all.
I think that's where I am. Thank you so much, Trev. Ladies. Thoughts on the series. This is week 3. This is, we've had Darcella, we've had Trev, we've had so many discussions and conversations. Any final thoughts? Eye-opening.
Eye-opening.
Okay.
Especially today. Today it was, woo.
Mm-hmm.
There's levels to this.
Tip.
There's levels to it.
Tip. Uh-huh.
I need a sofa and an extra pillow. One of those white sofas and just kick my feet up and be like, Doc.
Yep.
That was just very therapeutic.
Understood. Listen, thank you so much because you guys have rocked out with us for the last, 3 shows. Yeah. Again, being transparent, sharing your stories, your experiences, your life, and we thank you for that because it's not easy. As we have these discussions, as we have these conversations, we know just us as Black people, this isn't easy. So trying to heal the gap between us, as Dr. Darcella said, starts with us as individuals, and we have to start having these conversations, and hopefully we can get somewhere with this. And the point is, if any of the fellas who are on the first part of the show, so shout out to all of them, if any of the fellas who are on the first part of the show and any of the ladies, if we are even having conversations in our own spaces and it's changing someone's mind and it may change the trajectory of where we end up. So I thank you to all of you for throughout this entire series who have been here. This has been a blessing to me. This has been healing to me. I feel like I'm in a different space since this has all started. So I thank you all, and Dr. Darcella for your expertise. Every time Dr. Darcella comes on, I'm like, ooh, okay, let me go home and journal about this because I need to meditate on a couple things. Trev, you already know. As soon as Trev says something, everybody loves Trev. Trev say something, men and women be like, okay. Yeah, that was it. That's it right there. That's what that boy's smart. You know what I mean? Like you hear that all the time. So
I'm curious to see how he chastised those kids with a story. With a story. I was thinking when you did this with the I can imagine
his
him
parenting
doing
style,
that.
right?
Yes, his parenting style.
But listen, everybody, again, please make sure you come out on June 7th. Make sure you purchase your tickets now. That's not that far away. It's not this weekend. It's next weekend, and we want to make sure that you're in the building. Yes. It is going to be amazing. It is going to be more of this, but live and in person, and it's going to be great, and your voice can be heard. If you have any questions that you haven't had over the last 8 weeks, you can make sure your voice is heard and in the building. Thank you all so much. Again, we went over Queen B. We will not be here next week because we will be on vacation. It will be my birthday. We will be on vacation. We will not be here, but we're going to have to go live from down there to make sure everybody gets their tickets and stuff last minute so that we see them when we get back that Saturday. So again, thank you. We love you all for listening. Everybody that was in the comments, we love you all for listening. We love you all for watching. God willing, we'll be here not next week, but the week after. Same place, same time, different show, and always healing and learning. So bye, everybody. Jeff, take us away. Sorry, don't kill us.